Hello and welcome to another NTND marriage video, and today I'm wearing my smiley face Sam Sparro hoodie. Just wanted to share that with you because it's very comfortable. I love this hoodie, but that's not why we're here. Today I wanted to talk about our next counsellor. So this is counsellor number 3, and hubby decided to see her after we'd done the weekend retreat, and the man there had talked about concentrating on the positives of the relationship. So after that, he sort of started to feel that we had created a good life together, a good house, a good living, nice children. He liked to cook, I liked to cook, you know, we had things in common and stuff like that. So he had started to realise it wasn't all doom and gloom. And so therefore he agreed to see a counsellor. And this one was done through his work that offers the employers free counselling sessions, discounted counselling sessions. And you get 8 a year. So we saw a lady named Sue, and she was really lovely. She had this really soothing, soft voice. She was just one of those people that you instantly felt good around. She was just sort of warm, I guess. And so we took to her straight away. She started with the 4 horsemen, which is a Gottman principle. And those 4 horsemen are criticizing, defensiveness, contempt and stonewalling. Now generally the Gottman principles don't work very well with people on the spectrum. I think it's because they're not direct enough, and when you're dealing with counselling autistic people, you need to be very frank, very direct, very upfront with what it is that you're asking of them and what it is that is required of them. But nonetheless, we didn't know he was on the spectrum at this stage. So we start with these 4 horsemen. Primarily, Sue concentrated on the criticism side of things because obviously that was our biggest concern. And so we go in, and hubby is again purely focused on the housework issue. Now remember, this had gone for 15 years, the housework saga. And this counselling session was pretty much smack bang in the middle of that. And he's telling Sue all of my flaws and my faults. One day he'd come home from work and the washing had still been on the line. I mean, we laugh about that now. He came home from work and he said, "How long's the washing been on the line?" And I was like, "What washing?" "Oh, that washing." It had been out for about a week and I had just completely forgot about it. And, you know, it was all fine. There was no dramas with the washing. And as I said, we laugh about it now. But at the time, he was a bit ropeable about that because that's his personality style. He likes to be ropeable about everything. And so there was another time where the boys had run out of socks. There was another time where he'd gone to work, and when he left, there was a basket of towels. And when he came back, that basket of towels was still there. And I had washed all these other clothes in between time and hadn't had the room or the space or the weather for doing those towels. And so he's telling Sue about these things, pointing out these faults of mine. And it doesn't matter that the towels happened once and the washing happened once and the socks happened once in all of the years we've been together. According to him, that's proof that I'm this epic failure at housework. And of course I'm defending myself, as you do, and I'm saying things like, he'd asked me what I do all day, and I said to him, I clean the range hood, I wipe down the cupboards, I clean inside the fridge, I dust the skirting. And he literally says, "No you don't." And I said, "Of course I do. How else do you think they're as clean as they are?" And he just stood there for a moment, like, just thinking. And I can't presume to know what he was thinking, but the look on his face was like he'd never thought about that before. Like it had never occurred to him that those things even got dirty, let alone needed cleaning. And so there we are. With Sue, he's still grumbling about the housework and I'm there defending myself until I'm blue in the face. And again, he's not telling her that I'm this awful person to him, that I'm mistreating him, that I'm teasing him and putting him down. And I know that a number of people on the spectrum have exactly that drama. They grow up in families where they're ostracized because they're different. They grow up and have relationships and friendships and things where they're ostracized because they're different. Even so far as being bullied, harassed, picked on, all of those things that are happening to people on the spectrum because it's a neurotypical world and they don't fit in. And for some reason we have determined that it's okay to pick on autistic people for being different, whilst fundamentally I don't think we'd be doing that to blind people or disabled people in wheelchairs. And that's not to say that we treat those people well either. We've certainly learned a thing or two over the years and gotten better. But we wouldn't actively have a blind partner, for example, and berate and insult and pick on that person for being blind. Yeah? And yet, autistic people in relationships are having exactly that difficulty. And I understand that. I've heard all about those types of stories and things, and you know, it's truly awful. And here's my husband not facing that. I mean, surely I've had my moments where I've gone, dude, it's like talking to a brick wall, you know? And I've had my frustrations and I've said those frustrations, like, please don't talk to me about XYZ on the phone. I can't do it anymore. It's boring. I can't do it. Or, how come you're not listening to me? I'm explaining something to you and yada yada. So I've had my frustrations and I've definitely spoken out in those frustrations. But I don't call him names and things. And Lord knows I have wanted to at times. I've just wanted to just stream it off, you know, but I don't. And so again, he's at the counsellor, he's talking about how crap I am at housework. So essentially he's critiquing me to the counsellor. And I'm telling her, I have a problem with his critiquing. This is my number one concern in the marriage. He's just constantly fault finding. He will come home and I will have done the dishes and done the washing and vacuumed and mopped, and he will find that one obscure thing, like crumbs on the dining table, and yell about it. And so then the next time he comes home, I've done all those things and the crumbs on the dining table, and he finds some other thing and yells about that. And this is my world. And I'm desperately explaining this to Counsellor Sue, just wanting her to help me get him to stop critiquing. And she tried her best. She was very much like the weekend retreat guy. She was really trying to get him to concentrate on the positives. He's not very good at seeing the positives, or you can tell him of the positives and he will get them in the moment. But days or weeks later he will have forgotten the conversation and you just need to remind him again. So it can be quite tricky getting him to maintain the memory that there are positives in the relationship. And so he'll kind of come in and lead with a negative statement. And so that was what Sue was up against. Sue did try to introduce some extra positive type things that we could do in the relationship, such as date nights. We had definitely let date nights go. So Sue recommended we do those again. And we did start doing them again. And she also got us to do as an app where you can get questions that you ask each other. And I'll make a video about that later on as well. So she was trying to introduce these positive types of situations within the relationship, as well as getting us to communicate better with the Gottman communication principles. She did say to him that for every insult there needs to be 5 compliments. I have heard it also be said that there needs to be 8. I don't mind if there's 8, of course, but I'm barely getting the 5. We have the opposite ratio. It's more like 8 critiques to 1 compliment, if that. And so Sue was trying to get that turned around. So keep in mind, we're going to our counselling sessions, we're talking to Sue, she's raising topics, then we get home and we're trying to implement these things. There's a lot of emotion, so we're still conflicting. It didn't matter what Sue said, he still came home and critiqued and fault-finded, and things went really bad really quickly after we'd stopped seeing her. And so eventually, probably about 8 months or so later, I said to him, we really need to see somebody again because this just isn't working. And by the time we got back to the group that Sue worked for via his work, she didn't work there anymore. So we do get along better while we're seeing a counsellor, but any time that we stop seeing a counsellor, things go badly really quickly. And from your perspective, have you been seeing counsellors before, and do you find that you're fine while you're seeing those counsellors and then everything turns mad when the counselling sessions are finished? And maybe if you're on the spectrum and you're wondering if you should see a counsellor, I would recommend that you do, because even if you're not on the spectrum, it can be so hard to work out differences in relationships because you've got your own way of thinking, somebody else has got their own way of thinking, you're all bringing each of your baggage into the situation. So I would recommend counselling. That being said, we have seen terrible counsellors in our time, or at least one, which I will certainly get to later on. But in the meantime, thank you so much for taking the time to watch my video. I really appreciate it.